Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode 78 of the Canberra Football Show, Round 6 review. A lot to get into today, so we'll get cracking. But while I introduce Michael, I just have one thing to say. A lot of fantastic goals this week, Michael.
A lot of fantastic goals, Matt. Probably the most spoilt the fans have been so far this season. I mean, across all the competitions and games that were going on over the past weekend, I mean, there were some absolute crackers. Uh, so obviously keen to get into that, but it was really good to see sort of a lot of different really good goals as well. Obviously, some of those coming in the same game that we'll get into a little bit later, but some sensational football on display, some great goals. So you couldn't really ask for much more.
You certainly couldn't, and I believe you have the first game this week. What was the first offering for NPL?
Yeah, it was a very, very convincing win for the O'Connor Knights, Matt, against West Canberra Wanderers. It was O'Rourke with a hat trick in this one for Kresic, Adams, and Angela Sante got on the score sheet for the visitors. Obviously, the main thing that sort of stands out when looking at sort of the score and what occurred in this game, you can't help but look past O'Rourke's hat trick in the first half. Again, just showing what a quality talent he is in this league, and for the O'Connor Knights, showing just how valuable of a player he is. And sort of beyond that, they were able to put together a really strong 90-minute performance, I felt, in this one, Matt. I particularly really enjoyed the three goals that they scored in the opening half that sort of set them on their way. As you know, they were all really well worked goals, sort of nice passing around the pitch as they built their way up into the final third before, O'Rourke on each of those three occasions was finishing off the move. So it's sort of just goes to show, obviously, how well uh, each of those players get along uh, on the pitch. But these players and this squad has obviously been together now for quite a few years. So you can really see that out on the field, that level of understanding between each of the players playing together. They know where each other are, where they're going to be on the pitch. And I thought that that was really highlighted to a T with those three goals in the first half. And then obviously, you take that into the second half of play, and you got Kresic, who scored a very, very good goal from outside the box on his left foot. We know how good he is on his left foot. And obviously, they continued that momentum when Adams scored from the penalty spot. So they were 5-0 up before the 60-minute mark. So it just goes to show, like I said, how well they had played in this game as a whole for the 90 minutes, not just for one half and then taking their foot off the pedal for the next half. This was a wholehearted 90-minute performance from start to finish. And then Angela Sante as well, getting in a good position in the box to finish beyond the goalkeeper. Obviously, to score the sixth goal of the game, Matt, which again sort of underlines just how dominant they were in this game, albeit against a struggling West Canberra Wanderers side that's obviously lacking some confidence at the minute. And it just becomes a question of how and when are they going to sort of pick themselves up to get some points on the board and really look to at least start to build a foundation where they can sort of pick up points, put in some good performances as the season wears on. But I think the main takeaway for this one was just how good the O'Connor Knights looked in this one. They certainly looked like a top four side in this game, and very interested to see how they go over the next coming weeks, especially when they come up against, what we would classify as tougher sort of opposition based on what we've seen in the league so far.
Yeah, and O'Connor Knight's also up to third now in the table. So very impressive string of matches for them. Another team that's also been very impressive got a victory to also on Saturday or Sunday, I believe. It was Canberra Olympic, 3-2 winners over Monaro Panthers. Some stunning goals in this one. Olympic opened the score in the 17th minute as a corner was brought in and a bounce off the defence went into the path of Cal Smith, who hit it for the first time, and he unleashed a bullet of a shot along the ground for the bottom right corner. Nicely taken there. In the 33rd minute, Olympic doubled their lead as Popovic won the ball, broke on the counter, and laid it off to Flores. Flores was able to put in a looping cross over to Kofi Danny, who struck first time with a header in the back of the net. With 12 minutes left to play, Monaro halved the deficit as Minot Smith took a free kick on the left side of the box, which found Michael John to header it home for Monaro to make it 2-1. 10 minutes later, just before stoppage time, Thomas James hit an absolute beauty of a free kick. The forward stepped up from outside the box and hit a curler into the left corner. Top bins, as they say. Fantastic goal here. Go check it out. I think Russ has the clip on his YouTube, and I'm sure Olympic have shared it as well on their page. Go check it out. Monaro hit back late into stoppage time as Minot Smith received the ball from Adam New, I believe it was, and hit it first time. A curler that dipped into the bottom left corner. Another great goal here. A great win for Olympic, which means that they now stay at the top of the table with 15 points, 3 points over Tigers. Tigers, of course, still have a game in hand. Nonetheless, though, Olympic table toppers after 6 rounds. Monaro now dropped to 4th place with that loss, 2 points behind the O'Connor Knights and 6 points off Olympic. No games in hand for Monaro. Michael, so many great goals there, and the next one, I believe, had just as many.
Oh, it certainly did. We're carrying on that theme of some cracking goals that I think is going to sort of dominate the headlines for this podcast, certainly, Matt. But it was Tuggeranong United 3, Tigers FC 4, an absolute classic encounter that went on in Tuggeranong between Tuggeranong United and Tigers. For Tuggeranong, Walker got on the score sheet, Hislop and Stevens. For Tigers, it was Taneski, Kalfas, Galevsky, and Borgner. Like I said, it was an absolute classic, this match. I don't know if many people would have predicted to, guess that this would have unfolded between these two teams, especially a 7-goal thriller. So it sort of just goes to show the unpredictability about this league, Matt. And it was a absolutely fantastic game of football. You touched on it there. There were some absolute belters, particularly from Tigers FC, that was scored in this match. And I thought overall in this contest, Matt, that Tuggeranong United, they showed some real glimpses of improvement in this match compared to previous weeks where they've struggled to get results, especially in front of goal. I mean, that's something that we've sort of noted in the past when they were in the NPL competition, that they obviously find themselves back in now, having been promoted from last year's CPL competition. So it's good to see that they were able to score 3 goals especially at home as well, treating the home fans to some goals. So I think that that's a real sign of improvement for them to be able to get on the score sheet, and it'll obviously be something that they will want to carry on moving forward as the season goes on. And the first goal of this match really was something special, wasn't it, Matt? Taneski's strike was absolutely fantastic. And, the last goal for Tigers in this game from Giuliano Borgner, those two are going to be up there for goals of the season. Yeah, I mean, you can make a case for either one of those goals being goal of the season. That's how good both of them are. You can't even really pick either of them apart. That's how good these goals were. And like I said, Taneski, he opened the scoring outside the box, just hit an absolute rocket. It was an unbelievable goal into the top corner, keeper rooted to the spot. That's how good of a strike it was to give Tigers, the perfect start in this game. But, Tuggeranong, they didn't let their heads down, and they got level soon after to make it 1-1 after 15 minutes of play. Before the 15-minute mark, through Walker from the penalty spot. Tigers were unlucky not to hit the the front mat from a free kick situation as they struck the crossbar, but it looked like to be a fantastic save from the goalkeeper. So it looked like he got a hand on it to tip it onto the crossbar. But nevertheless, a really good chance for Tigers to obviously get back into the lead. And, the game sort of just became a little bit cagey between both sides. It was really neck and neck, obviously going into half time with the scores locked. But then obviously the second half, and in particular, the period of the match just under half an hour to go, that's when things just absolutely took a turn. We saw goals in abundance from both sides, not just one. So you had Kalfas, doing what he does in front of goal, just calm, cool, collected to score and give Tigers the lead before Tuggeranong yet again get themselves back into the match a little bit of time later, not straight away, in the 81st minute through Hislop. And this was a fantastic goal as well, Matt. I'm sure you would have seen it. It was a brilliant finish with his left foot over Cole to make it 2-2. I think that what would have been devastating for Tuggeranong, though, is the fact that they went on to concede a penalty, so close to the end of the game, but the scores locked at 2-2, which obviously Galevsky converted with confidence. And then, I touched on it earlier when getting into the breakdown of this match, but Borgner produced an absolutely outrageous goal. Again, from outside the box, a right-footed strike. But this one sort of looked like it had sort of gone up and then dipped and gone straight into the back of the net, all at an unbelievable pace to show that it really cannoned off his foot. And it was an unbelievable strike. I mean, I've watched it a fair few times now, and you sort of just watch it back each time going, how is he able to do that? But nevertheless, it was a fantastic goal. It's 4-2 at that point. Obviously, Tuggeranong United make it semi-interesting with Stevens scoring a header from a free kick in injury time to make it 4-3. But ultimately, there just wasn't enough time, Matt. But I think for the neutral, you want that game to sort of just continue, given how that was going in the second half, particularly that last 30 minutes of the game. It was absolutely entertainment central between Tigers and Tuggeranong United. So a great game. Even though Tuggeranong lost, like I said, they can take plenty of positives out of that, like their form in front of goal, which they'll be looking to sort of take on into the rest of the campaign. And for Tigers, obviously it's another win. They've made a great start to the season, and they sit second in the ladder, having played one game less than league leaders Canberra Olympic, that we will touch on. That you did touch on just a moment ago, Matt. So neck and neck between Canberra Olympic at the top there and Tigers FC in second place, just behind them.
Yeah, and we go from that game there, which obviously was another very competitive game, and we go on to another thriller that was, let's not forget, both teams backed up in this one from cup action midweek when Canberra, Croatia knocked out Gungahlin United 5-3, which went to injury time. They both backed up to play each other again. Funny how that works out. This always seems to happen when there's a cup game and then they back up. Literally the next match a few days later. In this one, it was a draw 2-2, a fiery affair as always. Gungahlin United against Canberra, Croatia. Croatia opened the scoring this one through a well-taken penalty kick from new signing Lukman Ahmed Shaibu just before half-time. 10 minutes into the second half, Kazbatavta struck from outside the box and scored a second for Canberra, Croatia. Not long after the second goal, Stephen Dominici was given a yellow card originally for what was said to be a high challenge from what they were discussing on commentary. After consulting with his linesman, the ref ended up giving a straight red to Dominici, and Croatia were down to 10 men. This was discussed quite a bit at the moment because not long after that, there was a similar challenge from Gungahlin, which was also given a yellow. So quite a bit of talking points on this one. I'll leave that up for the discussion. In the 62nd minute, Gungahlin took advantage of the man advantage and got themselves on the score sheet. It was an own goal from Matt Gerbisher as it deflected off him from a strongly driven Josh Gaspari free kick. 7 minutes before stoppage time, it was Gungahlin who went down to 10 men as Nick Dahl was given a second yellow card. It seemed like Croatia were going to take home the win until the 94th minute. A free kick was nicely placed for Fernando to header it in the back of the net for 2-2. So late drama there in this one, as there always is between these two sides. Another exciting game, plenty of drama, plenty of talking points for everyone to discuss. Another 2 red cards, which I believe there was also 2 red cards in the cup match, I believe, or either that or it was a match just before. We've just seen a lot of red cards. They're all sort of forming into one now. So both teams, of course, like I mentioned, backed up midweek. Good comeback from Gungahlin. Without Jack Green as well, who went off early in this one with a knock. Max Green as well seemed to come off just after half time with a bit of a knock as well. Their placement on the table after this one is 5th place. 1 point off the top 4 with a game in hand. So they're well placed to launch themselves back into the top 4 race at some time with a match in hand. Canberra, Croatia, I'm sure will feel a little annoyed by the end result, especially considering that they were that close to taking out the game before Gungahlin's late goal. It still feels a little weird to say that Canberra, Croatia are in 6th place with 5 points. However, like I mentioned last week as well, they still have that game in hand, and just one more win similar to Gungahlin will launch them back into contention in this one. So still a long way to go in this season. Another fiery affair, Michael, between these two sides. A lot of talking points, which I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of opinions on. So it was, as always, an eventful affair between those two sides. We have some more, I don't doubt, cracking matches to play in round 7 this weekend to cap off the first batch of matches, and then after that, everyone plays each other again for another 7 in the reverse fixture. So, Michael, what are those matches this weekend?
Well, we kick things off with West Canberra Wanderers up against Gungahlin United Saturday, May 20th, 2 p.m. at Melrose Synthetic. We then follow that by O'Connor Knights up against Tigers FC Saturday, May 20, 3 p.m. at O'Connor Enclosed. We then have Monaro Panthers up against Tuggeranong United, also Saturday, May 20, but this one's at 5:45 p.m. at Riverside, so you can go catch the West Canberra game at 2 p.m. or the O'Connor Knights versus Tigers match at 3, and then make your way over to Queanbeyan to get more football action at 5:45 there at Riverside. And then lastly, we have Canberra, Croatia up against Canberra Olympic in a Sunday classic. This one will be on Sunday, May 21st, 3 p.m. at Deacon's Stadium. So a very entertaining clash there for the Sunday kickoff, and some very, very good games in the 3 matches going on the Saturday, Matt.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NPLW segment. Jeremy McGann is back with us. Jeremy, it's been a couple of weeks. Well, I saw you on Saturday, but just in terms of the show, how's it been?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, right. How much football have we actually had in 2 weeks? It looks like every single game was rained out. It's good to have some football back, and good to see you boys.
Always good to see you as well. Well, let's start with the match that you and I did together at McKellar Park. Less than 10 minutes into this match, Belco went down to 10. Riley Ewan, who was the keeper for this one as well, came off her line to try and win the ball. I don't know how to. Jeremy could probably explain it better when he gives his thoughts on this one. Seemed like she tried to stop the attacker, but it wasn't like completely full on. Personally, my opinion, I didn't feel it was a red. I would say yellow, only because there were 3 defenders around her, and it wasn't like she just completely pushed her to the ground or anything like that. It wasn't the last man, but again, that's just my opinion. The red card didn't stop Belco, though, from playing the way they wanted to play. As they took the lead in the 16th minute, Bessie Reifmuller received the ball, turned her marker, and smashed a bullet past the keeper. This was great technique here from her. Kira Bobbin doubled the lead for her side not long into the second half as she converted a penalty kick. Belco made it 3-0 in the 65th minute. The CUA tried to back pass it to the keeper. The keeper went to kick it away. However, Raith Muller was there right in her path to stop it, and ball ricocheted off her into the back of the net. 6 minutes from time, Belconnen United made it 4-0. Raith Muller passed it to Bobbin, who neatly touched the ball around a defender, turned and hit it past the keeper. Another great piece of skill here from Belconnen. Very, very good performance from Belconnen, especially being down to 10 men. Impressive to keep playing the way they that they want to play despite having that numerical disadvantage. You can see how much it meant to them, especially everyone on the bench after they scored that 4th goal to put in such a performance despite being down to 10 players. They still sit in second place, 1 point behind Canberra, Croatia, and they have a match in hand. Canberra, Croatia don't. Similar to Olympic as well, I will mention later. Not the best day at the office for the CUA, despite having the man advantage for most of this one. Just seemed like they just weren't on their game today, Jeremy. Oh, on Saturday, Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit disappointed from the academy, given that you're playing against 10 players from the 7th minute onwards, and as you said, the red card, in your opinion, in my opinion as well, and we said it live on commentary, was probably a bit harsh. And looking at the replay, it looks like the academy forward is actually pushed onto Raleigh Ewan, who then sort of like proceeds to foul. It's silly that Raleigh Ewan finds herself there to start with, because there was a defender right next to the ball, and then she decided to come out and to show that she was an outfield player and not a goalkeeper. Unfortunately, that led to a foul. I don't think it was a red card, but the red card was given. It allowed us to see the prowess of Pearl Teen as a goalkeeper. Who would think that such a talented playmaker is as good between the posts as well, and no offense to Pearl, her size as well, that height, I should say, doesn't let you believe that she's going to be this confident with the hands. But it was good. I think Scott Conlon would be happy to know he has that many potential keepers, with Ellie Summers being injured. But anyway, as we were saying, the academy didn't take advantage of that numerical advantage, and conceded just because Belconnen, I think, were a little bit too strong for the academy, even with only 9 players on the pitch. They were just running everywhere, and they really put on a show. I think Maya Rathalski had probably the best game I've seen her in the WNPL. She was literally everywhere on the pitch, and all the players decided to just run a little bit more than what they should, given the circumstances, and they did that really well. And then we saw early in the second half, clearly Scott Conlon, putting his team ready to score a second goal early, and going with that 3-3-3 kind of tactic, and it worked really well for them immediately, and then they were able to go back to that 4-3-2 to kind of finish and just play in counter-attack. Good for Belconnen United. We know that they've been strong all season, and they've proved that they can be strong despite adverse circumstances. For the academy, I think it's a bit unfortunate, because the cup game was actually a much better fare, I reckon, from the academy. And now that they actually had circumstances going their way, they were not able to take advantage of it, and they see Belconnen United slowly leaving on the table. So yeah, kudos to the Blue Devils. Unfortunate for the academy.
And another team in that race played this weekend in the reigning champions, Canberra, Croatia. Michael, what was the score on that one?
Yes, Matt. We had Canberra, Croatia up against ANUW FC in this one. It was Canberra, Croatia 5, ANUW 1. Mitchell with a hat-trick, Moses with 2 goals, and for ANUW, it was McGilligan with the goal for the visitors in this contest. Canberra, Croatia, like they have done so many times, especially when they play at home, they proved to be too good on this occasion against ANUW, who are obviously newcomers in this competition. Mitchell shone through in this match, as her hat-trick was very well taken with some very nice goals, and obviously the same goes for Moses with her double, if everyone was able to sort of see the goals scored in that match. So well done to the both of them. And for Mitchell in particular, scoring a hat-trick when we're so used to seeing someone like Britt Palombi scoring, goals at a amazing rate. It sort of just goes to show the depth in this Canberra Croatia squad, that they have the talent to go and bag goals through other players themselves. So that's only a compliment to them and the improvements and the stature at which they're held, which is obviously they're held at a really high standard. They're a great team, and they have been for a very, very long time. You know, they played some very good football throughout the match, and I think that sort of went to show again why, you know, Matt, like you said, they're the reigning champions. They sort of set that standard, and that's sort of been projected across the league. And, you know, obviously for ANUW, I think overall in this match, they'll obviously be disappointed to have lost by a reasonably big scoreline. But, you know, in this instance, they're coming up against quality opposition, you know, an opposition that has, you know, won numerous titles and that plays some of the best football in the NPLW. So I actually think in this case, you know, watching that match, that this will actually prove to be a valuable lesson for a club like ANUW in this competition, and it will help them sort of progress forward as the season goes on. You sort of just need those experiences against some of the best teams in the competition in order to sort of give yourself an idea of where you're at currently and the level that you aspire to get to, which is, you know, at the level of like a Canberra Croatia or Canberra Olympic of more recent time, as an example. So a very good 90-minute performance I felt from Canberra Croatia in this one. Jeremy, what were your thoughts on this contest? Obviously, a straightforward win for Canberra Croatia in this match, but ANUW made a good account of themselves as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's fitting that we are on the M&M podcast to talk about the M&M show that was going on Sunday with Mitchell and Mazzy really making the difference for Canberra Croatia. You said a hat trick for Mitchell, a brace, and 2 assists for Tatum Mazzy, who 2 players who just signed for Canberra Croatia over the summer. So Zoran Glavinic must be over the moon that, as you said, he doesn't have to rely only on Brittany Palombi, who's already scored 6 goals this season, to deliver some solid end product and beautiful goals as well, whether it's the run from Mazzy, the pass from Jamie Berkeley on that second goal, and all 3 goals from Charlie Mitchell. To be honest, she's got a really powerful shot on her. Nick Brosnich had compared her to Grace Gill on her very first game against Olympic, so it's big shoes to fill, but she's definitely showing that she's up to the challenge to be at least as good as Grace on our domestic level. As far as the ANU go, I think it is a bit too much for them. A team like Canberra Croatia, we've seen that they can play some very good football, and we've seen that they're spectacular in the build-up, I've got to say. From the midfield onwards, when the ball goes up, they're strong, and defensively they have some very good players, but it's about that depth. It's about being good for a whole 90 minutes, and it's also about not making a single mistake. Every time that they lost the ball or saw one of their passes intercepted, they almost conceded straight away. So against team like Canberra Croatia, those little details, those little mistakes, well, they're just unforgiving, and they've seen that on Sunday. I think it's as we all knew, it's a learning curve for the ANU, and they got that win against Tuggeranong early on. That was very encouraging, and up until then, I think that they had always scored first in any of their games as well. So they've shown that they have the talent and the ability to cause problems. Unfortunately, at DK, the team in front of them was a little bit too strong and maybe ready as well for the team that the ANU is now, because the rest of the competition have seen them play and won't be surprised anymore by how strong they've been in the beginning of the season. For Canberra Croatia, it looks like, after those 2 losses to Olympic, both in the WNPL round 1 and in the Federation Cup quarterfinal, they finally readjusted the aim a little bit. That win against Belconnen was encouraging, and the game that they're expected to win, well, they take the 3 points. So it's all good for Zoran Glavinic and his teams, and it's going to be a long season, but you want to get all those points early. So it's good to see them, as you said, respecting the standard that they're expected to play at.
Absolutely. Jeremy, you hit the nail on the head, as you so often do when it comes to these NPLW breakdowns. Matt, who do we have next up in NPLW action?
Next up, we had a very impressive victory from Gungahlin United, 5-1 over Tuggeranong United. Gunners opened the score in the 6 minutes into this contest. Big ball down the field. Ginger Oliver, who was terrific in this game as well, ran onto the end of it and squared it past the keeper, and Darby Whiteley came in first time, hit it for the goal. In the 23rd minute, Nat DeMarco put a tantalising through ball to Whiteley for her brace to make it 2-0. To round off the scoring in the first stanza, as Russ likes to say, Nat DeMarco neatly cut inside her marker, putting her marker off a bit and buried the shot past the keeper. Great work there from her. To open the scoring in the second half, Sharon Chow received the ball from just outside the box and smacked it past the keeper into the back of the net. Tuggies got themselves on the score sheet with an absolute screamer from Zoe Williams, which was also her first NPLW goal, so congratulations to her. What a great way to kick off your scoring in the competition. And it was from well outside the box in this one. Absolute corker, and dipped below the crossbar and above Kaylee Tanini to make it 4-1. Just before the end of the game, Gunners scored their final goal. Another screamer as Rachel Corbett, I believe it was, struck a similar shot to Williams, except closer in, right for the top left corner as a dip down. Another great goal there. Fantastic performance from Gungahlin United, who seem to be throwing their hat into the ring in this title fight. Great form after tying with Croatia last week, I believe it was, and knocking out Canberra Olympic from the Fed Cup. Both of those results aren't exactly easy to come by, and they were able to do so. Also had a few more shots that hit the crossbar and hit the bar in this one as well, and other shots that were saved by Sammy Ems. Gungahlin now find themselves in 4th place with 10 points and a match in hand. 2 points behind Belconnen Olympic and 3 points behind Canberra, Croatia. Tuggies had a great shot saved early on into the encounter. It would have been interesting to see how the match would have played out had they scored 3 minutes in. They looked lively early on. Not much could have been done for the goals, to be fair to Sammy Ems there. Overall, though, not the best day at the office for Tuggeranong, but they have shown this season that they will fight back, and I don't doubt they will heading forward. It was just probably a matter of Gungahlin were just too strong on the day. What are your thoughts on this one, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, you've commented the game with Russ, and great shot, by the way, for both of you. It was a great game. I think the Gunners are, where we have wanted them to be for the past couple of years, right? We were sort of like teased by the quality of the game under Diego Iglesias, and then it sort of took a dip, and we didn't really understand why, because the team seemed to be fairly the same, and we know how good the culture is in that club. But right now it looks like everything is taking shape nicely under Andrew Woodman. Of course, there's the addition of the 2 American players, Michelle Wienecker and Emily Kelly, who are doing really a good work there at Gungahlin, and we see it every single week. There's that depth, when you're able to sub in Jade Brown, Rachel Corbett, players that could be in the starting 11 any day of the week. And last week against Canberra, Croatia, it was Sharon Chow who came in, and Darby Whiteley as well. And Whiteley scores a couple of goals this week. I think we're seeing a team that is confident, that is happy to play with each other. And when you have Nat, Andres, Iniesta, DeMarco in the middle of the park, who does deliver those beautiful passes and then finishes the way she did, I mean, what can happen really? Shout out to her sister, by the way, Stella DeMarco, who was celebrating a 100 WNPL game on the day, which is great to see, and again, it's a testament to how great this program has been in recent years. I think for Tuggeranong, it's they're starting to see what the level is if you want to be in the top 4, because the Gunners look like they will want to be in the top 4 until the very end. So although we see every single week, moments where the Tuggers can be dangerous, and you said very early on they almost scored, but of course you got Emily Kelly on the other side. It's the same as the ANU, and the same that we'll say about really the academy and the Wanderers. It's that learning curve where the difference between being a successful program and a highly successful program, is being able to be strong for 90 minutes and solid defensively, and the intensity, and that's everything that the Gunners are bringing right now. So it's going to be it's going to be a great week, I think, for the Gunners, with that game against Olympic at the end of the week as well. But I think we finally kicked off that season where we were wondering who was going to fight for the final. Well, the Gunners nicely inviting them to that battle, and it's all the better for the neutral viewer.
It certainly is. And that top of the table, like we mentioned, is so tight at the moment, only 6 rounds in, which means there's a lot more talking points to come. And one of those teams that are in that race, Michael, also had an impressive victory this weekend.
They did, Matt. Canberra Olympic, 6-1 victors over West Canberra Wanderers. It was Jalocka Gurney with a double, Thornton, Zabel, and Aspland on the score sheet for the hosts, and Whitfield on the score sheet for the visiting Wanderers outfit. Canberra Olympic, just too good on this occasion for the struggling West Canberra Wanderers this season. I mean, we know the struggles that the latter have gone through to start the 2023 campaign, and it didn't really make their causes any easier when they were coming up against a quality side away from home in Canberra Olympic. So yeah, Olympic were actually unlucky not to take the lead on a few occasions as they struck the post a few times before Jalocka gave them the lead in this match in the 20 on the 20-minute mark, and that was followed by Gurney, Olivia Gurney scoring the second goal of the game just before the half-hour mark to make it 2-0. They then made it 3-0 through Thornton in the 31st minute, before West Canberra Wanderers were dealt a big blow as it was 4-0 at halftime. So that made things really difficult for West Canberra. You know, going in at 3-0 obviously is no situation, that any team wants to be in going into the halftime break. But obviously being down 3 goals would have been better than being 4 goals down. So, I mean, the confidence would have just been at a low at that point. It's hard to then pick yourself up and come back out for the second half to try and get yourself back into the game. And Olympic then just carried on that momentum into the second half. They obviously scored through Zabel in the 66th minute before Aspland scored in the 79th minute to make it 6-0. They did, however, West Canberra Wanderers get themselves a consolation goal 10 minutes from time from Whitfield to soften the blow, as you could say, at least give themselves a bit of a consolation in this match for their hard work. So, Jeremy, what was your reaction to this result? Obviously, Canberra Olympic, fantastic performance at home, some really good goals. They really put themselves on the front foot by scoring 4 goals in the first half. And for West Canberra, it seems to be an ongoing struggle to try and get their season started.
Yeah, it was a professional performance for Canberra Olympic. I mean, you expect them to win against the team that's at the bottom of the table, but there's ways of doing it. And to be perfectly honest, I thought Olympic at times in the first few games of the season sort of struggled to find a solution up front and to try and really build their football the way we used to see them doing it. So to see that they were able to sort of put that constant pressure on the Wanderers, must be reassuring for Nicole Begg and for her team. Besides that, you're playing against a Wanderers team that is, I think, really struggling with their own confidence. And when they finally sort of like get their act together and think that they can find a way to score, well, you got Janet King, you got the post, you got the crossbar. That shot from Caitlin Colwell just after the first goal from Olympic was beautiful, and unfortunately ends up on the crossbar and bounces just in front of the goal line. So when he doesn't want it, he doesn't want to. So I kind of feel for Ray Castro when you're at that point. Luckily, if you have to see the bright side, you got Sarah Whitfield, who's finally finding the back of the net, and we know how important she can be offensively for West Canberra. So hopefully it's a way for them to slowly build on, and then the next few games they can hopefully finally get a point, because we never want to see a team that's that's so low on the bottom of the table. We want everybody to get points, and we want the teams to progress to get to the level of the team. And there's plenty of talent in that West Canberra Wanderers team, plenty of former academy players in there. So we know they can play football. It's about playing together and getting the results for Olympic. Like I said, professional performance. Good to see everybody going onto the score sheet. I don't know why when I watched the game, I thought it was Maggie Whittle who had scored the goal on the corner kick, but it was given to Thornton. So I'll blame my eyes yesterday for not watching well when I was looking at the game, and sorry for Michaela if I gave the ball to Maddie. But it's good to see all those experienced players finding the back of the net. I thought Nicole Jaloka, since she had left Belco last year, wasn't in a great form in front of goal. And now it's 2 goals in 2 games. Can only do a world of good for her, because she's got that winning mentality, and when she can find the back of the net, and she's just going to get stronger and stronger. Unfortunately for our opponents, and then seeing Maggie Whittle nicely going into the fold, Jasmine Zabel, who's now a mainstay in the first team, and players like Mickey Thornton, Olivia Gurney, bringing what they should bring to that team. It's going to be a strong team from the beginning to the end. I thought they were a little bit below what I expect from them early in the season. So seeing them getting those results that they should be getting, to me is reassuring. And yeah, again, a nice way for us to look forward to that game that we can't miss on Sunday, which is Canberra Olympic and Gungahlin United.
Yeah, that's going to be an absolute cracker that I'm sure Matt's about to get into when he goes through the NPLW round 7 fixture. So Matt, take it away.
Yeah, and that is one of the matches, but we do start off at ANU WFC against Belconnen United, Sunday, May 21, 3 p.m. at ANU South Oval. West Canberra Wanderers against Canberra, Croatia, Sunday, May 21, 3 p.m. at Melrose Synthetic. Canberra United Academy against Tuggeranong United, May 21, 3 p.m. as well at Hawker Football Centre. And the big one, Gungahlin United against Canberra Olympic, only 2 points separating them at the moment. Sunday, May 21, 3 p.m. at Gungahlin Enclosed. They are the round 7 matches before the fixtures get reversed, and we every team plays each other for the second of 3 rounds, let's call it.
2 games midweek as well.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, Canberra Olympic is playing against the ANUW, and Tuggeranong United is playing against Belconnen. I'll be commentating that Tuggeranong against Belconnen game with Andrew Woodman at Canberra, 7 p.m. kickoff on Wednesday. So yeah, Canberra Olympic, big week, playing 3 times, and then facing Gungahlin at the end. It's not going to be easy.
Oh no, it certainly won't. There's a few teams there with those matches in hand, like you mentioned. Thanks for joining us, Jeremy, as always. And any last words or plugs before you sign off?
No, thanks for having me, and congratulations on that 1,000 follower. You guys deserve it. You're doing great work. It was good to see. Well spotted, Michael, and I'm glad that everybody's listening to you guys. That's where Canberra football is at.
Appreciate it, Jeremy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. CPL section of the show now. Let's get straight into it. Wagga City Wanderers 2-0 victory over Queanbeyan City. 35 minutes 35 minutes into this contest, Queanbeyan went down to 10 men as Daniel Felizi was shown a red card for a challenge on Samson Lucas. However, Samson came out of it, had the worst of it. It was reported on Facebook that he suffered a broken leg, so not good to hear. Best of luck to Samson on his recovery. Hopefully it makes a speedy one and we see him back on the pitch as soon as he can. And classy response as well on the comment section from Felizi there on Facebook. So again, best of luck to Samson on that recovery. The first goal of the game came 20 minutes into the second half as Morris Cazzola scored from the penalty spot. The penalty was his 7th goal of the season, which puts him solely at the top of the CPL goal scoring chart. So well done to Morris there. It went from bad to worse for Queanbeyan as they went down to 9 men. Dylan Colbertaldo received a second yellow card, his second of the game, and he was sent off 5 minutes after the second yellow. Wagga scored again, this time through Thomas Yoogali. This was an important victory for Wagga as this launched them back into the top 4 with 9 points. Two below Belco and Queanbeyan, Wagga are now 1 point above ANU and the Brindis in that 4th spot. So that helped them leapfrog there. Queanbeyan's loss mean they now drop to joint second behind Yoogali by 1 point. And they do trail Belco on goal difference. In terms of the ladder, this has definitely spiced things up as Yoogali last week or the week before throwing their hat into the ring. So already we've got such a race with 6 rounds in, and it's only going to get more interesting from here. Michael, what was our next matchup? It was another competitive one.
It definitely was another competitive one. Brindabella Blues 2, ANU FC 2. Schaefer and Wilkes on the score sheet for the Blues, and Gibson and Hadley for ANU. Brindis endured a rough start as they went down to 10 men with Daniel Kadavid. Munoz was shown a red 10 minutes into the match, so obviously not the ideal start for Brindabella Blues being down to 10 men for a majority of this game. Despite having the numerical disadvantage, though, it was the hosts that were able to take the lead through none other than Curtis Schaefer. Matt, he always ends up on the score sheet for Brindabella. This is his 3rd goal of the campaign. ANU had a quick response, though, to the hosts going up, and 2 minutes later they levelled through Jack Gibson. Brindis once again took the lead with 15 minutes to go as Henry Wilkes struck for the Cornwall-based side. This is also his 3rd goal of the season to match the other goal scorer, Curtis Schaefer's, that I mentioned just a moment ago. But it seemed like Brindis were going to hold on to victory despite the numerical disadvantage they were at. There was some late drama. ANU levelled the scoring very late on with 2 minutes remaining of regular time. I mean, this was just absolute drama, Matt, especially considering that Brindabella were down to 10 men in this one. But ANU, they grabbed the late point. They grabbed the late equaliser to come away with a draw. So the point for ANU means that they now have been leapfrogged by Wagga and sit in 5th place, tied with Brindis. However, they lead them on goal difference and they're only 1 point off the top 4. So things are still not all doom and gloom for the ANU outfit. A resilient performance from the Brindis, nevertheless, despite being a man down. They almost had all 3 points. They'll actually be disappointed that they weren't able to get all 3 points despite the numerical disadvantage they found themselves at. But, you know, similar to ANU, they're tied in 5th. They trail only on goal difference, and they're only 1 point off the top 4, like we just mentioned with ANU. So the race is becoming very, very close already for positions inside that top 4. So CPL, there's a lot of action going on and plenty of entertainment and, of course, plenty of drama, as there always seems to be. Matt, who have we got next up? Talk about cracking goals. You're about to get into one.
Yeah, this one was another absolute cracker, like you said. Belconnen United won 1-0 in this encounter over Canberra White Eagles. Robbie Katnack was the one to score, winding back the clock. The only goal of the match, 1 minute into the second half. His first goal as well since coming out of retirement. Like we mentioned before, was an absolute cracker. Struck from well outside the box. I believe it was from a corner. He hit it first time off the bounce, bit of a volley, dipped up and down into the back of the net. Russ has it on his Facebook page. Belco as well, I believe, now have it on their Facebook page also, if you want to go check it out. From all accounts, White Eagles were competitive in this encounter and made Belco work for the win. The table probably doesn't reflect a lot of their performances this season, as they sit in 7th place with 5 points. As mentioned previously, though, They only need a win, and they will be back into the thick of things. Belconnen, on the other hand, this win gives them a big leap back into the thick of things. They now sit in second place, as we mentioned before, 1 point behind new table toppers Yoogali, tied second with Queanbeyan, lead them on goal difference. They showed a lot last week, despite their draw to Queanbeyan, so they will feel this win was important for them to gain that ground. Michael, I mentioned before the new table toppers, and they were in action this weekend.
Yes, they were, and they got a very, very impressive win away from home. Canberra Juventus 0, Yoogali Soccer Club 4. Goals from an own goal from Matthews, Bailey, Donadell, and Pinto on the score sheet for the visiting outfit on this occasion. Yoogali, they got off to a quick start as they opened the scoring, and Ainsley threw an own goal from Matthews, like I just touched on. Player coach Darren Bailey doubled the scoring for the away side to make it 2-0 in the 37th minute. The fullback has been on fire, hasn't he, Matt, in CPL this season, especially in that player coach role that he has taken up at Yoogali. He has been fantastic down that wing, and this goal takes his tally up to 6 for the season, and it's absolutely remarkable what sort of he's been able to do since he's come back for Yoogali. So, and a sensational sort of vein of form that he finds himself in, and it just goes to show how big his influence is. And now he's second on the goal scoring charts. So, being out sort of on the wing and not a striker, obviously, but he finds himself up there with contending for the golden boot. So I'm sure he'll just want to keep that going and maybe even pick it up for himself. But just before halftime, Donadell solidified the lead for the Griffith-based side as he scored his second goal of the season. Yoogali started the second half just as strong as they did in the first, with a goal from Romain Pinto 6 minutes into the second half. Obviously, they were in full command and control at this point, and it just goes to show it was another very strong performance from Yoogali. Their 4th win in a row too, Matt. So it just goes to show how well and how confident they're playing at the moment. Their first win away from home as well. So that's only going to propel them to continue to do good things on the road. They've been rewarded, for their recent form, as they've leapfrogged Queanbeyan to the top of the table. They lead by 1 point and have, they've thrown their hat right in there to, potentially win the title and get promoted, which maybe is not a conversation we would have even thought about having, before the season kicked off. But, anything can happen in this league, and it goes to show that there's definitely a lot more unpredictability around the CPL this season in terms of who's going to get that promotion, because it really does seem like numerous teams can go out there and claim it for themselves. So you love to see the element of competition. It's going to come right down to the wire, I feel, Matt. I'm not sure about you, but it's going to be really, really close in CPL this year. It could come down to, a point, a game, a goal. You never really know. You never know, but I'm here for the ride, as I'm sure you are. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But, a tough day in the office for Canberra Juventus, as they took on a side in red hot form, and sometimes, it's just really hard to stop a team once they've sort of built that momentum for themselves. They're sitting 8th place, 2 points off White Eagles, and they're 5 points off Brindy and ANU. They have yet to get another point since their opening round victory against White Eagles. So they'll be obviously itching to get back on the winners' side of things, Matt, because you don't want to go, more and more games not picking up wins. So they'll be desperate to get themselves back in the winners' circle, which I'm sure they're more than capable of doing, as I just mentioned, after they beat White Eagles in the opening round of the season. Matt, what are our CPL round 7 fixtures for this upcoming weekend? Some great games on display.
Certainly is, especially after we've talked about how unpredictable and how just how exciting this CPL season has been. We kick it off with Canberra White Eagles against Wagga City Wanderers, Saturday, May 20th, 3 p.m. at Woden Park Enclosed. Queanbeyan City against Canberra Juventus, Saturday, May 23 p.m. at High Street. ANU FC against Belconnen United, Saturday, May 3:15 p.m. at ANU South Oval. And to cap off the round, Yoogali SC against Brindabella Blues, Sunday, May 1:30 p.m. at Solar Mad Stadium over in Griffith. Some absolutely tantalizing fixtures there. If you guys are free and you want to check out some CPL action, there's plenty to check out there. And as always, Yoogali stream their home matches live on Facebook, so you can go check that out on their Facebook page there. Michael, it was one hell of a weekend of football and a full weekend of football, thanks to the really good weather, actually. So let's hope that continues this weekend. Any last words before we sign off?
Fingers crossed we get some very, very good weather, so it can possibly treat us to some more goals. I'm not sure if we're going to be outdone by what we saw this past weekend in terms of some of the quality strikes that we saw and that were on display, but nevertheless, we hope that, you know, there are some fantastic games, some great results, possibly some surprises in there as well that I'm sure we'll be able to possibly dissect as well. So looking forward to what's ahead and breaking it down as usual.
Yeah, it should be good as always. Thank you very much, everyone. That was episode 78 of the Canberra Football Show. Our round 6 review. Have a great week, everybody, and as always, enjoy the football.